708 test wickets, a record that stood for over a decade, and a career spanning 2 eras of the game, Shane Warne's stats are undeniably beyond impressive. They are legendary. He dominated batsmen, mesmerized crowds, and redefined the art of leg spin bowling.
Bowled him! There it is, the battle's over! And Shane Warne gets his 4th. What a delivery!
But stats alone don't tell the whole story. Just how good was Warne, really? Was he the greatest bowler of all time, or a master of myth-making? Today, we delve into the magical career of Shane Warne, the dominated batsman. But to really understand how good he was at his peak, we need to start with his early days and see how he got there. For a guy who grew up knowing nothing but football, it's quite unbelievable that Shane Warne would end up becoming one of the greatest cricketers of all time. Imagine the young Shane being kicked out of a football team because they thought he was not good enough, fat and unfit, and in turn, he mastered the difficult art of spin bowling from scratch at 19 years old, completely transforming himself.
Is your grip. The grip must be 2 fingers down and 2 fingers up, and the ball just slots in there like that. The leg spinner will spin from right to left on the pitch, and you will...
Warne was born in Upper Ferntree Gully, Victoria, a suburb of Melbourne, on September 13, 1969, the son of Brigitte and Keith Warne. His mother was German. He attended Hampton High School from grades 7 to 9 before being offered a sports scholarship to attend Mentone Grammar, where he spent his final 3 years of school, and thus the beginning of his career in sports. Warne's first representative honors came in the 1983 to 1984 season, when he represented the University of Melbourne Cricket Club.
Absolutely brilliant from Shane Warne.
In the Victorian Cricket Association's Under-16 Dowling Shield competition. He bowled a mixture of leg spin and off spin and was a handy lower-order batsman. The following season, Warne joined St Kilda Cricket Club, which is located near his home suburb of Blackrock. He started in the lower 11s and over a number of seasons progressed to the first 11.
Unfortunately, just because of his action, that'll always go on. So he has to deal with that. And if he can't deal with it, then, if he can't go to Australia, then don't go.
During the cricket off-season in 1987, Warne played 5 games of Australian rules football for St Kilda Football Club's under-19 team. 2 years later, Warne showed that he was ready for a bigger challenge, so he was promoted from the under-19 team to the reserves team, 1 step below the professional level. However, the change was so overwhelming that he played just a single game. The same year, he also kicked 7 whopping goals in the under-19s in St Kilda's round 10 game against Hawthorn. However, that was not enough because the following season, St Kilda delisted him, making him retrace his steps back to cricket.
Shows you which way the ball's spinning.
Starting with a 6-month stint in Bristol, Warne played for the Imperial Cricket Club in the Western League, where he took 49 wickets at 15.22 points. It was clear that the talent was there, but at the same time, it was roughly raw, and Warne knew what he needed to do: reign. The following year, Warne was chosen to train at the Australian Cricket Academy in Adelaide. There, he struggled with discipline and was kicked out following disagreements with management. But his career, however, didn't end there. Rather, it propelled. In 1991, Warne joined the Accrington Cricket Club of the Lancashire League as their professional player for that year's cricket season.
First of all, thanks for having me, Michael. I think the cricket side of things, a lot of people said when you get to an age, you'll know when it's time to retire, and I didn't really get that. And a lot of people that have retired or haven't had the opportunity to retire, but they all said you'll still know when it's the right time. And
after initially struggling in English conditions, he had a good season as a bowler, taking 73 wickets at 15.4 runs each, but scoring only 329 runs at an average of 15. The committee at Accrington decided not to re-engage Warne for the 1992 season because they expected their professional to contribute as both a batsman and bowler. Warne was recalled to the Australian Cricket Academy in 1992, where he honed his leg spin abilities under former Australian Test spinner Terry Jenner. Jenner is credited with harnessing Warne's raw talents and coaching him to become more professional in his preparation and approach to the game. Warne was selected for the Australia B team, which toured Zimbabwe in September 1991. In the second tour match at Harare Sports Club, Warne recorded his first-class score of 5 wickets or more in an
anymore. Well, there you are, Warne's done it again. A big spinner, and it jumped at him as well.
Innings when he took 7 wickets out of the 49 runs conceded in the second innings, helping Australia B to a 9-wicket win. In December 1991, upon returning to Australia, Warne took 3 wickets out of the 14 runs conceded and 4 wickets out of 42 runs conceded for Australia A against a touring West Indian side. Warne was truly an icon. However, he had a rough trip to success. Stay tuned as we shed light on the losses that preceded his wins. Warne made his international debut on the 2nd of January 1992 in the 3rd Test match between Australia and India. Peter Taylor, the incumbent spinner in the Australian Test team, had taken only 1 wicket in the first 2 tests, so Warne was brought into the team for the match at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Warne had played 7 first-class matches before making his Test debut for Australia. He took 1 wicket out of the 150 runs conceded in 45 overs. Warne took 0 out of the 78 conceded in the 4th Test in Adelaide, recording overall figures of 1 out of 228 for the series, and was dropped for the 5th Test on the pace-friendly Waka ground in Perth. Australia toured Sri Lanka in mid-1992. Warne's poor form continued in the first innings against Sri Lanka at Colombo, in which he recorded 0 out of 107. On August 22, 1992, however, Warne took the last 3 Sri Lankan wickets without conceding a run in the second innings, leading to a second-inning collapse and contributing to a 16-run Australian win. Sri Lankan captain Arjuna Ranatunga commented in an interview that a bowler with a Test average of more than 300 came and snatched the victory from their hands.
I was 18 in 1982. That's the same year, 81, we got Test status, but we played our first Test match in 82 and
Despite his match-winning spell, Warne was left out of the second Sri Lanka Test before taking 0 out of 40 in the 3rd and final Test of the series. Warne was again left out of the first Test against the West Indies in the 1992-1993 Australian season. Greg Matthews played in Warne's place. Despite Australia being in a strong position on the final day, they could not dismiss the West Indies on a turning surface. Warne was recalled for the 2nd Test in Melbourne, a Boxing Day Test in which he took 7 wickets out of 52 in a match-winning performance in the 2nd innings.
I was good at bowling leg spin, and so as you say, I was a late developer, but I worked pretty hard to try and be the best version of myself I could be, and I think I got there.
In February and March 1993, Warne took 17 wickets at an average of 15.05 in Australia's tour of New Zealand, tying Danny Morrison as the top wicket-taker for the series. On March 24, 1993, Warne made his one-day international debut at Wellington, taking 2 wickets. In 1993, Warne was selected for Australia's Ashes Tour of England. His first ball of the series, at Old Trafford, was called the Ball of the Century. Warne bowled experienced English batsman Mike Gatting with a ball that drifted through the air and then turned from well outside the leg stump to clip the off bail. Warne claimed 34 wickets in his first Ashes series, leading all bowlers at an average of 25.79. Australia won the 6th Test series at 4-1. When New Zealand toured Australia for 3 tests in November and December, Warne took 18 wickets and was named Player of the Series as Australia won the 3-Test series 2-0. Warne took 72 Test wickets in 1993, a then record for a spin bowler in a calendar year.
I'd have a cricket ball in my hand, and I'd just spin it in my hand all day, and that was to get a feel of how the ball would come out of your hand and with the different deliveries you'd bowl. So I really enjoyed that side of things and pushing yourself to see how good you could be.
Almost all of the 72 wickets were against English and New Zealand batsmen. Let's take a closer look at some of the most remarkable highlights from Shane Warne's career that shows why he's celebrated as one of the greatest cricketers. Breaking down the career of Australia's greatest bowler and showman is virtually an impossible exercise, given the breadth of Warne's leg break mastery, 708 test wickets of pure genius. But you can't ignore the other side. The man who said his life was like a soap opera, who courted controversy everywhere he went. But for the sake of starting arguments, here are some moments that stand out. Shane Warne's test career began against India less with a bang than an almighty whack from the bats of Sachin Tendulkar and Ravi Shastri. By the end of his second test in early 1992, he had 1 wicket at a cost of 228 runs. He took 3 wickets in 2 away tests against Sri Lanka later in 1992, but Warne was still very much a novice by the time West Indies arrived in Australia for the 5-test series in the 1992-93 season. Warne did not play the first test at the Gabba, but came back for the second on his home ground, the MCG. Batting last, West Indies was set 359 to win the test. Merv Hughes got Desmond Haynes early, but then captain Richie Richardson and Phil Simmons put on 134 for the second wicket to right the ship. Up stepped Warne to bowl to Richardson, who was set on 52. The ball dipped, landing on off stump, then seemingly rolled along the ground to bowl Richardson between his bat and pad.
Out, England's turn to bat, they come in and they're going really well. Mike Atherton, Graham Gooch playing well, and just before the break, Alan Border said to me, mate, next over that end.
It was only in hindsight that cricket fans realized that was the first outing of Warne's famous flipper. The wicket triggered a collapse as the Windies were bowled out for 219. Warne finished with 52 in the second innings. He was named man of the match and was now on his way. Also, by the time Warne made his first Ashes tour of England in 1993, he had taken 31 wickets in 11 tests at an average of 31. Good, but by no means remarkable. The English team and press were skeptical about the tubby blonde with the big raps, particularly after Warne's ordinary form in the warm-up games, where he was regularly hit around the park. Was it all a deliberate ruse, a sucker punch in preparation for Warne's first test ball in England? It's not the ball spinning 2 feet from way outside the leg stump to knock off the top of the off bail. It's the drift. Out of the hand, the ball looks headed for the middle stump, but suddenly it dips and swerves violently to Gatting's leg. His bat was only vaguely in the vicinity of the ball as it zips past on its way to smash the off stump. Gatting walked off, shaking his head, utterly bemused. Warne finished the series with 34 wickets. England was mesmerized, and the legend was born. The Gatting ball, which also became known as the Ball of the Century, is the only delivery in the history of Test cricket that deserves capitalization. Another iconic game of the legend was the Basit Ali mind game. Over the years, Warne became almost as well known for his psychological games as his flipper. South Africa's Daryl Cullinan never had a chance once Warne declared he was his bunny. In the third test against Pakistan at the SCG in the 1995-96 series, Warne was bowling the last over of the day to Basit Ali. Warne later said that Basit Ali had been annoying them a lot of the time because he was always holding them up. He further mentioned that every time they were ready to play, he'd do his shoelaces up or call for gloves. On the last ball of the day, Warne decided to give Ali a dose of his own medicine. He called over Australian wicketkeeper Ian Healy, and the two engaged in a lengthy mid-pitch conversation. The commentators assumed it was to discuss what sort of ball Warne should bowl. From around the wicket, Warne bowled a leg break that pitched way outside leg stump. Ali tried to let the ball go, but it spun viciously straight between his legs and crashed into the stumps. Binod said in his commentary that no one wouldn't believe that he's done him between his legs. The trickster at his best. Do you know there was a time when the maestro almost lost his career? In February 2003, a day before the start of the World Cup in Africa, Warne was sent home after a drug test during a one-day series in Australia returned a positive result for a banned diuretic. Warne said he took only one of what he called a fluid tablet, the prescription drug Moduretic, which his mother had given him to improve his appearance. A committee established by the ACB found Warne guilty of breaching the board's drug code and imposed a one-year ban from organized cricket. After having announced he would retire from ODIs after the 2003 World Cup, Warne took the view that the ban would lengthen his test-playing career, although it led him to reconsider his decision to retire from ODIs briefly. Warne was allowed to play in charity matches while serving his one-year ban, a decision that was criticized by the World Anti-Doping Agency, which Warne criticized for interfering in the matter. During his suspension, Australia's main free-to-air cricket broadcaster, Nine Network, hired Warne as a television commentator. During mid-2003, Warne worked for the St Kilda Football Club, an Australian rules football club, in an unpaid consultancy role after the Australian Football League banned him from holding an official club position because of his drug ban. Warne returned to competitive cricket following his ban in February 2004. Warne owed Ponting when he returned from his drug ban. He repaid him in spades during 2005's thrilling 5-Test Ashes series in England. Despite Australia losing the series, Warne was at his best, taking 40 wickets at an average of 19.92. His performances included a match-winning 6, 46 at Edgbaston, and an unforgettable 12-wicket haul at the Oval. Warne's mastery kept Australia in contention throughout the series. Warne was the first cricketer to capture 700 Test wickets, achieving this milestone on December 26, 2006, against England in what was his final series before retiring from international cricket. What are your favorite memories about Shane Warne? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on our next cricket insights. See you in the next video. Bye for now.